Hey guys, this is V Shiva. I am a tattoo artist for the last 12 years. I'm the founder of Tattoo Temple 108 and Tattoo Tribe community. This video is part of our Art Basics series. This series talks about design, composition, and all the fundamentals we need as tattoo artists. We're going to start with one of the very basics, that's perspective. Today's topic is 1-point perspective, the simplest of them all. I've made separate videos on the other types of perspective from 2-point perspective right until 5. Check the links in the description box. I'm ready. I hope you are too. Let's get right into it. Before we start, let's get some basic concepts right, namely the horizon line, vanishing points, and perspective line. I'm going to explain these concepts with the help of this photograph. The horizon line represents our eye level. In this case, the level at which the camera was placed while taking this shot. I'll represent it with this dark blue line and place a vanishing point here in the middle. Now the core learning here is that when viewed in 1-point perspective, parallel lines moving away from us seem to converge at a single point. I've marked this point as X. Now I'm ready to draw some perspective lines, and as you can see, the road seems to converge and gets thinner as it moves away from us. That's an optical illusion caused due to our perspective. Let me demonstrate this with these green lines. Any lines parallel to the viewer will not distort, and these light blue lines are indicative of all horizontal lines facing us. Now let's imagine a signboard on this road. I'll represent that with this red line, add more perspective lines, and now I can draw the signboard in perspective. Let's move on to some sketching. First, I draw the horizon line and put the vanishing point on it. I can draw these radiating perspective lines to act as a grid for me. Let's put a simple cube in here to start with. I draw the horizontal and vertical lines now. Remember, these lines are parallel to us, so they look like a simple square or rectangle. I can now extend lines from the edges to create the cube. Since this cube is below the horizon line, it seems like we can look at the top of the cube. Let me draw another one real quick, this time above the horizon line. And now it looks like we are viewing this cube from below. Now that we've done some basic shapes, let's get on with something a little more complicated. Let's draw a cityscape. I start with the same basics, a horizon line, a vanishing point, and lines radiating from the vanishing point to represent the perspective lines. I'm drawing this imagining we are in the middle of the street looking up at the sky. I start putting in horizontal lines to represent the top of the buildings and use the perspective lines as a guide to mark out the sides of these buildings. Marking the windows works the same way. The horizontal lines are all parallel and the ones on the sides seem to converge at the vanishing point. Now we draw the same cityscape but from the opposite viewpoint. We are up in the sky looking down at the street from a bird's eye view. In this case, the top of the buildings are parallel to the viewer and can be drawn as simple rectangles. The sides seem to converge at the vanishing point in the middle. Let me add a little shading to show some form real quick. Okay, I think now we can try something a little more different and draw an indoor scene. I move on to draw the wall we are facing, and these 4 lines represent the edges of the walls on our side, the ceiling and the floor. Now that I have the boundaries of this room put in, we can add some furniture. Regardless of how complicated the objects might be, the rules still remain the same. Parallel lines facing us do not distort. Lines facing away from us will appear to converge at the vanishing point. That's it. I am looking at a reference while I draw this. However, now I can add, remove or move the objects within the scene and still be able to accurately depict how they would look in real life. Lastly, let me add some arrows to indicate where some of these lines are facing. Now it's time for the bonus content. I'm going to show you a simple way to calculate the midpoint of something in perspective, and this is especially useful when depicting objects that are equidistant but in perspective. They appear to get closer and closer to each other as they move away from us. This can be noticed easily when we look at railway tracks or lampposts on a road, like in this case that I'm drawing. Here I've drawn a road and I put in the first lamppost. Now I draw the lamppost that's right next to it. I've drawn two horizontal lines from the bottom of each lamppost to create this square in perspective. I can join the opposite corners to get the midpoint of the square. I join the midpoint on the square to the vanishing point now. Please pay close attention here. I extend a line from this corner, let's call it point X, to this point where line C intersects line D. I extend it forward to reach this point on line A. This is the point where the next lamppost should stand if all lampposts are equidistant. Now it's just a matter of repeating this process and refining it as you need. There you have it. Now you can draw one point perspective and also have an extra trick up your sleeve. Hope you enjoyed watching this video and got some value from this. Now it's your turn to draw. If you think you've got the concepts right, you can either click here for the next video or check out the links in the description box. Next, we're going to look at 2-point perspective.